Yo, YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy, SalvationsElite. We're back with another video, guys. And man, today we're talking about Seaside Spawns. I really love the last video. I even learned a lot from it. So I had a good time doing this one as well. And so I'm excited to talk about it in this video. So today is the Spawns video on Seaside. And then tomorrow is the Learn from the Pros video on Seaside. So we're diving into Seaside this week. It should be a good time. I'm planning on learning a lot and becoming that expert on Seaside Hardpoint. But obviously, first of all, before we hop into the video, I wanted to talk about the community tournament. The video with all the final details will be coming out at the end of the week, so either Friday or Saturday for sure. And just, the whole details, everything about the tournament will be coming out in that video, so make sure to stick around for that one. I'd love to have this tournament be insane, awesome, and just be like the culmination of everything. Hopefully it can and possibly could be, and that can happen without you guys. So with that said, guys, we can finally hop into the video, so let's do it. So this is the map you're going to be seeing a lot of. This is the hardpoint rotations. The one that we're talking about is the one that's circled in green. So this first hill, the one in restaurant, is what we're talking about first. And now, as you guys can see, the spawns in the green color, the green colored spawns are the most common spawns. The blues are more rare, more unusual circumstances that cause those spawns, but a lot of times those are the spawns that you need to really understand so that when you spawn there, you'll have a better idea of where these guys are coming from or where they're possibly going to be. So my process for making these videos was pretty simple. I just watched some gameplay of pros playing on Seaside, and I marked down all of their spawns. Wherever they spawned, I put down a little dot, and then that's the chart you're seeing right here, basically, is those results. And so what you guys can see, obviously, is on that right side of the map, in that church side of the map, everybody basically spawns in that back building there around the L in the corner. And then the most common spawn on the left side of the map is for the fountain spawn. So you'll spawn in that back ramp on fountain, or you'll spawn in the corner of fountain, basically those two spots. So there's two spawns that we really need to talk about. The first one is on the right side of the map, which is the one right next to the second hard point, the one that's in courtyard. Somewhat common spawn, but it's a pretty irregular spot. So what happens while you spawn there is when the team on the left side of the map has control of the hill and usually has somebody maybe pushed out just a little bit farther towards their spawn in the hill, that's when you might end up spawning out in that second hard point. Oftentimes, if they have mid control, you probably will keep spawning behind church and not spawning in the second hill. And so that's just something to know, is that if you're spawning second hill, there's a very high chance that there's nobody mid. So keep that in mind when working that, and you can probably use that to your advantage potentially to break a hill if you are able to get a nice little split spawn. And then probably the weirdest spawn for this hill was the spawns way at the back of the fountain hill, the third hill, the ones that were back in the one that is way in the back of the spawn there. And basically when the team on the right side of the map who had hill controlled a lot of this map, so they maybe had somebody watching mid, they had somebody even pushed out just a little bit in front of that first hill, that was when teams would start spawning out way at the back of the spawn. And so when you're spawning way at the back, you have to know that that's when somebody's probably pushing out and really pushing you guys into the spawn a little bit, and that's when the other team has a lot of map control, and you have to be pretty aware of that when you're spawning at the back of the spawn like that. The second hill actually had some interesting spawns as well. So the ones on the right side of the map were pretty predictable. Basically, if you have hill control and you have that right side of the map, you're basically almost always spawning in the back of the map. So in the far spawn of the map, that's pretty basic. As you guys can see, the three green boxes there on the right side, that's what you kind of expect. And then the interesting spawns are kind of on the left side of the map, and there's really some inconsistent ones, and I think a lot of these inconsistencies probably came from the transition or the rotations and that transition period of when teams are switching from hill to hill, and that's when you're getting these weird spawns. But for the most part, when the hill was under control by the team on the right side of the map, the team on the left side of the map was spawning in restaurant, top restaurant, as you guys can see by hill 1. That's where teams were spawning when there's full hill control on the right side of the map. Especially if you have players already pushing towards hill, you're almost for sure going to be spawning in that restaurant area. When you start spawning on the left side of the map is when the team has guys, when the team on the right side of the map who has control of the hill has guys in church and has guys pushing through wine. And when you have guys in church and wine, that means you're going to be spawning on that left side of the map, spawning by fountain, spawning on fountain stairs, spawning in the back of the map, those types of things. So that's what you have to worry about when you're spawning back by fountain. Know that probably means that either somebody's for sure in church or pushing through wine to try to get that map control for that team on the right side. So you got to be aware of that and be looking out for it when you're spawning out by fountain. So the good old third hill, the fountain hill, and this one, again, really weird sponsor, this one, as many of you guys probably know. So the most common spawn for even both teams, almost, really, it was really weird. It's really weird because both teams really can spawn in that top restaurant, just depending on what the positioning is of both teams. So when the team on the left side of the map has spawn control and has hill control, that's usually when the team on the right side of the map would be spawning in restaurant or in wine. What makes the difference is whether or not anybody's pushing out towards restaurant. So if a team has somebody pushing out towards restaurant, then the other team will probably be spawning in wine. If they have somebody pushing out towards wine, then they're probably spawning in restaurant. So you can really control the spawns on this hill, and that's why it's such a money hill, and you can really predict where these guys are coming from. And we saw that with OpTic twice on this map, where they were able to dominate this hill multiple times because they really controlled the map and forced the spawns where they wanted them to spawn. And that's how they're able to dominate and make these comebacks in the way that they did. But I'm sure we'll talk about that more in the Learn from the Pros tomorrow. So, you know, I don't want to give away all the spoilers in this one when it comes to the OpTic. Just know if you're not spawning in restaurant or in wine, if there's something really weird going on and the people are really pushing forward. So the fourth and final hill, which is probably the most interesting, weirdest, and unpredictable hill of them all, because it's such a cluster. Like when you're inside of that fourth hill inside winery, I mean, it's absolute mayhem most of the time, and a lot of the times the hill is contested, and it's hard for teams to get a lot of map control on this hill. If you do get the map control on this hill, it can be a money hill for you, but a lot of times it's really hard to do that just because of the spawns and how they work. And so what you guys can see is the most common spawns up by restaurant, again, over by fountain, back fountain by the ramp, and then in courtyard and in the room behind courtyard. I'm forgetting the call out for that, but that's my bad. Sorry, boys. There's actually 5 main spawns on this one for a hill that I thought would be a little bit more predictable than that. So this is another situation where if the team on the right side of the map is controlling church and is contesting the hill, that's when you would spawn on the left side of the map. If a team has, like, you know, that mid control while also having some hill control, you're not going to spawn back restaurant. You're going to spawn fountain or, you know, back ramp somewhere. If the hill is contested and they probably don't have anybody in church, that's when you'll be spawning in restaurant, and the team that has the right side of the map will be spawning in courtyard or back behind courtyard. So this is a pretty telling spawn. You know, when you spawn, you're gonna be able to figure out kind of the positioning of that right side of the team, where if you're spawning in that fountain side, just know that they have all wine control and they're probably pushing out towards mid or pushing out towards your spawn. So that is really important to know, and, you know, keep that in consideration when playing and thinking about that when you're playing this map. So overall, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys learned something new about Seaside. If you guys did, like, comment, favorite, and subscribe. Share the video if you guys really enjoyed it. I really do appreciate all the support. It always means a lot to me. And again, keep on the lookout for that community tournament. I'd be hyped to get as many teams as possible into that, and I'd love for it to be an awesome success, and I'm excited to, you know, do everything we're going to do for it. So with that said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, favorite, and subscribe if you did. But as always, guys, I'm your boy SalvationsElite, and we will see you next time. I'm out. Teams, as long as we have 8, and so right now I'm going to cap it at 8, and then if we have enough interest, I'll open it back up to 16. So that's kind of like a for sure set in stone thing. So I really want this to be either a 4v4 or a 5v5 tournament. So that's the first deciding